Hey YouTubers, it's me, Lonnie Clark, Nuts for Art. I guess I'm live. I don't know what the lighting looks like, but we're just going to live with this because I can't mess around with it. Anyways, I wanted to come to you because the Olympics have been kicked down the curb. And I know it's a stretch, but don't you think it's very interesting that the very day that we hear that they're going to delay the Olympics, Donald Trump starts talking about getting everybody back to work now that we've got the Olympics delayed? Not that they go hand in hand, but maybe they do go hand in hand. I don't know. But, you know, this is where I start sounding like a little tinfoil hatter because, I read an article this morning that is saying that we're sending 20,000 troops. Last month, we sent 20,000 troops over to Europe to participate in war games. What's the title of the war games? It is called, hold on just a second, I'm looking for it. So hold on. Defender Europe 20. The convoy comes ahead of this spring's Defender Europe 20. It's a massive multinational exercise to which the U.S. has shipped 20,000 troops and much of their gear, 20,000 groups and much of their gear, the largest deployment of U.S.-based forces to Europe in 25 years. 25 years, right? Defender Europe 20 will be featuring a, quote, fictional near-peer competitor, unquote, as in Russia or China, I'm sure, and a future post-Article 5 environment, and an Army planning official said, referring to NATO's collective defense provision. So they're going to be doing, a big portion of what they're going to be doing is war games with depleted uranium weapons. So the last part of their assignment is to clean up. I get it. They even have the cleaning up of depleted uranium, as if you can clean up depleted uranium in one fell swoop. Oh, let's just go sweep the floor, honey. And then I saw this article that Europe, all those 20,000 soldiers, a total of 30,000 soldiers now in Europe, 30,000 soldiers in Europe without masks. The sweeping lockdown that they have going on in Europe does not apply to the American soldiers. And the Europeans are freaking out of it. U.S. citizens are exempted from their rules. The 20,000 soldiers beginning to arrive from the United States in European ports and airports for the Defender 20 Europe exercise, the largest U.S. troop deployment in Europe in the last 25 years, including those already present. So this is huge. They are sending 13,000 pieces supplied by the U.S. Army in Europe. Postponed depots. Wow. They are loading up equipment and soldiers in Europe. For what? I don't know. But if you ask me, the COVID-19, okay, listen to what this says about COVID-19. And this, by the way, I switched to this article. It's called Global Research. The 30,000 U.S. soldiers will spread through the European region are in fact exempted from the preventive COVID-19 regulations that apply to civilians. The assurance given by the U.S. Army in Europe that, quote, we are monitoring the COVID-19 and that our forces are in good health, unquote, is enough. At the same time, the environmental impact of military exercises of this magnitude is ignored. U.S. Abrams tanks will participate, weighing 70 tons with depleted uranium shells. Each tank consumes 400 liters of fuel per 100 kilograms, producing heavy pollution to deliver maximum power. And the Europeans are kind of freaking out because at the beginning of this, it says that it reports the U.S. Army, 30,000 soldiers will spread throughout Europe. They're really freaked out that these soldiers do not have to abide by the mask. And a lot of these soldiers, where's the other article? Let me see if I can find it. It's on my other computer, I think. a lot of them, a large portion of the soldiers are from New York and from Louisiana. And I don't know about you guys, but I think that the way the Trader has just completely ignored the safety and the health impact of this type of spreading virus by getting people to congregate at his Trump rallies with just out regard up until maybe even now he's still crowding around the podium with his little gang of people up there. They all think they're well. I think in May we're going to see a lot of death in Florida, unfortunately, and in Louisiana. I think it's just if you guys look at just the spike, the way that it's going up, we haven't even hit our zenith on this. But my feeling is that they let this coronavirus get way out of control because they do plan on, and I've said this on my radio show many times, they do plan on having someone. Hey, Alex, I don't know if you're still there, but I see you. Yeah, I had to come and spew out. It's much easier just to do a live thing and then I can just post it up. I don't have to record it and then wait for it to upload and do all that other stuff. So I'm just doing this really quick here because I've been busting at the gut to talk about this because I think it's quite coinky dinky that the radioactive Olympics got canceled the very same day Trader Trump was saying, let's get the country back to work now. But I do think it's part of the program. I think that is really, really part of the program. Like, I think they let this thing get out of control. And I personally think they let it get out of control because it's going to do away with all the people who remember what liberty and freedom is about. Like, I think that's part of why this is the perfect virus to give to people that are older because older people will knock off. It's the older people who remember what civil liberties are, life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. We know what civics were. We remember how the Congress, how the Senate was supposed to work. We remember what it's like to say that we have rights. And so now what I think that's part of why they're doing this whole virus thing. On top of that, they had a perfect excuse to cancel the radioactive Olympics. So now they're kicking the can down the road for a year, and then guess what? It's just going to be we're all on permanent lockdown from now on because God knows we're all going to get really sick. You know what I mean? So I don't know. So it's sad. To me it's kind of shocking that people don't see it. It's kind of like this whole election, like the Democrats, like Bernie Sanders is the reason that we have even half of a decent bill inside this cash giveaway that the Senate just is approving today. I mean, this is on the big spin here. So it's, but it's almost as if they're just going to anoint Joe Biden because I can't see unless they want Donald Trump. But I think the overlords have pretty much had it with Donald Trump. Yeah, he will do exactly as they say, and then some. He gives them everything they've ever gushed for. That's what they've been wanting, someone like Donald Trump, just to like go, screw that, let's lock those Mexicans up in jails, and screw that, we're not letting anybody in, and let's get the lynchings back on, and let's stack the courts. I mean, he has been brazenly stealing from the United States since day one, and they loved it. But I think this one, he did not handle this right. And I think they let it get out of control thinking they could contain it. And he has no idea what he's doing. And every time he stops in front of a microphone, he makes stuff worse for them. So I'm just nonplussed at the whole Olympics denial, the denial by the Olympic Committee that the radioactive Olympics, that they're even going to think about it. But so then what does that mean in a year from now? Does that mean, will it get better in just 1 year? No, maybe they're going to decide they're not going to have the Olympics in an off year because the Olympics are always in an even year. And if they do, then it'll throw off the spring Olympics or the winter Olympics. What are you saying there? Next, it will be martial law on the global scale. Why Joe is not quite right there in the head. Yeah, I think you're right, Alex. I think you were absolutely right. I think it is about setting up martial law, especially when you think about we just sent 20,000 troops to Europe who are not abiding by the lockdown rules. And we sent 20,000 heavy, heavy equipment, these tanks, lots of tanks and depleted uranium weapons. Like we have established like the presence already. And I think you're right about that on a global scale. I think you are absolutely right. And I think for Joe Biden, I think he's on drugs. I think he's fighting. I think he does not want to participate and I think they have him on drugs and he's doing the best he can. And I think that he is, he's always been on the side of big business. He's never done anybody a favor who wasn't rich. Let's just put it to you that way. He's never been the little guy's man. But he has to do this steal it from Bernie thing because the bankers don't really want to have to murder Bernie straight out. So they have to have somebody else there. So I don't know. I don't know if they're going to let Joe Biden in or keep Trump. I mean, I haven't figured that one out, but I just can't imagine that they would keep Trump. Like the traitor is it's so beyond inhumane. Like imagine now they're saying, yeah, let's just sacrifice Nana. Are you willing to get the bug and die for civilization so that we can keep Wall Street open? Come on. Yes, it is going to be one world currency. Game on for the one. Well, Alex, don't you think we already have one world? Like for real, we already have a one world. Like there's no like this whole Bernie Sanders election this time around. Like I was pretty pissed off at Bernie last time for not playing Pied Piper and telling them to stick it and take all of his voters out of the convention and run on a third party. I was really mad. I thought I'd never support him again. And then this time I decided, I'm going to support Bernie because I want to force the Democrats to openly steal it from Bernie. And guess what? They did unabashedly, like election fraud, voter suppression. Like these guys are as bad. In fact, they are Republicans. They're Reagan Republicans. And the Republicans are actually Nazis. That's kind of where it's at. And we are one world, I mean, that's what this whole oil thing was all about. All most nations are moving away from the petrodollar. Like it's dying. It's when that happened, we're done. And we've been done. And this is the thing. They're just going to let us go down in flames. But this is why the United States is moving over the military. That's why they have to move their troops into Europe. If they don't beat somebody up, the United States is going to get its ass kicked. So they are on the aggressive. They're taking the Donald Trump attitude. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they'll have the next, they probably will have the next election. But the next election is already settled who's winning. It's our votes don't matter. This is what we're seeing. Like the overlords have pretty much had it with this democracy thing, right? I mean, it's the same cabal, same 200 years of the people in power. And they thought, oh, this is nice. We've had a few centuries of democracy. Enough of that stuff. We're not going to allow it anymore. And they have slowly, over the last century and a half, decided enough of that. And this is why I think they want to kill all the old people. I think you're right, Alex. I think, imagine if they get to kill all the old people, like, boom, knock us off really, really quick, like within the next 2 years or something. Millions and millions of people, old people die. These are all the people that remember life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We remember what the Constitution meant. We remember what democracy looked like. This is what it's so hilarious. I go to these protests and this is what they're singing. This is what democracy looks like. And I'm like, yeah, no, it doesn't. This is not what democracy looks like, going out on the street and screaming and yelling at nobody who's listening. Democracy is voting. Democracy is getting in your elected officials' faces on the regular. Yep, they are running out of the 5G to finish the job. Well, have you noticed, actually, speaking of the 5G, that the 5G, where the 5G has been rolled out, that's where the coronavirus is the strongest. I've noticed that. Have you noticed it? Like overlaid. It's kind of like, remember on my YouTube channel where that time that I overlaid all the nuclear power plants with where the CDC said childhood diseases were? It was like overlapping a map. It was really amazing. You could do the same thing with the coronavirus. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you could just look at the 5G map and overlay it with that. That's kind of what I did. I looked at the 5G map and then I looked at the coronavirus map and I went, huh, that's pretty interesting. And it's also near nuclear contamination. So this is what got me thinking about, when Japan first let those people off of that cruise ship that was docked there, they just let them go back out in society in Japan. All those people that were exposed to coronavirus, they did not try to stop it at all. I saw this cat on C-SPAN freaked out about it, but I don't know. Like, I just think that we do need to prepare for harsher times. And I'm actually going to have a conversation with my daughter about us finding a place to live in exile. To be honest, I don't think the United States is going to be a safe place after 2021. I mean, if Trump, quote, wins re-election, we will see death camps, and I'd probably be put in one. So, like, they're getting pretty serious. The fascists are about to wring the necks of a bunch of people. We haven't had seriously violent war, and I think they're just bloodthirsty bastards. They crave blood. I used to, when I first got on YouTube, I always watched, like, what do you call them? Those oh gosh, the elite, the Illuminati, like the bloodthirsty thing. And they would always talk about all that stuff. I mean, how much of that can you take? I pretty much maxed out on it, but I'm not so sure it's not real. And when I see what's going on here with this coronavirus and the radioactive Olympics, and in fact, let's talk about the earthquakes and the radioactivity, like the 7.5 that's happened. I mean, like, it is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And the fact that we have nuclear power plants that are running, sitting on top of earthquake faults is, to be honest, I think about it regularly. Like every morning I wake up and I take a look to see at the earthquake map. So I don't know. This is these times, man. And we're told to walk in gratitude, and I am grateful, actually. I guess we're alive. I guess that's the gratitude we get. Or maybe when you die and there's nothing, like, then what you're grateful for. I don't know. This is kind of the stuff that makes you want to be atheist, but there's always like that weird stuff that happens in my life so that I can't, like, really be an atheist. In fact, I don't think there's really any real atheists. I think the day you die, I think you see God. Like, I think you see what the whole thing means, and I don't think there's any retribution. I don't believe in the punishing God and all that other bullshit, like, for me. But I do believe in a bunch of crazy people, so, because those people actually run the world. So I hope everybody is really planning for the worst and hoping for the best. How about that? For real. I mean, everybody did this mass shopping thing. What'd you say? A woman here was just arrived from the U.S., was not checked at the airport. Now they are looking at 300 passengers on the flight as she's been confirmed as a carrier. Well, that's how it's going to go. In fact, here in Oregon, it's taking off like whoosh, because people aren't staying in. And most people are, but there's a lot of people who are, like, listening to the president and going, yeah, it's not that bad. It's a really interesting, it's really hard. It's very interesting because it's very much like radioactivity. Wouldn't you say, Alex? Like, you can't see it, taste it, smell it, or hear it, but you know it's there, right? The only difference with this thing is that it kills you way faster. You get sick. And so I think what they're going to do is say from now on, we have to have social distancing just as a way of life, because otherwise we're all going to get sick. Yeah, Easter. Easter's hilarious. Please do. I actually hope they pack all the churches on Easter. I hope all of them get together, please. I hope every Christian and every Muslim, everybody of every fanatical sect, they all get together on Easter. That would take care of it. I mean, for me, really. Yeah. Easter is not a deadline. If they put people together in Easter, we are going to have a lot of death at the end of May. Let's just put it to you that way. That's how it's going to go because we're too soon out of this. And there's a lot of people. I mean, how many deaths today? We're almost up to 1,000 people dead from this virus already in the United States. Let's see. Oh, so I'm reading Alex. Alex Smith is one of my subscribers, and he is talking on the chat room, and I'm reading his chat just in case you're wondering how I'm coming up with these conversations. Maybe you can read it yourself. Yeah, Fukushima has not gone away, but they haven't. So this is the weird. See, they didn't cancel the Olympics in Fukushima because Japan desperately needs the money. So they're saying, oh, we're just postponing it for next year. So I think that by next year, we're going to have another reason why it cannot happen in Japan. That way they can keep getting the money, because it's really it has nothing to do with sports or goodwill. It's only money. Money is the only thing. You heard it. Glenn Beck, all the right wingers on Fox are saying, hey, I am willing to get the virus and die to save the economy. As an American, that's what I am willing to do. I don't know if you guys have seen those clips, but they're on Fox right now. It is shockingly a lie. These people would not be happy to be dying if they got the coronavirus. You think that Glenn Beck, if Rush Limbaugh, you think he hasn't social distanced from everybody? He's a cancer victim. You think they're willing to go get the coronavirus? Let's just see Glenn Beck and Rush Limbaugh and Tucker Carlson lift up, stop the social distancing in a month and go to church on Easter. Let's watch that happen. And watch what happens to their parents, if not them. So this is not something to take lightly. This is really serious because it can spread. It's a real disease. And yeah, you're right. Fukushima has not gone away. And it's not going away. That's the weird part. So this is why people check out on it, because it is not going away. I mean, they said in 40 years they'll start decommissioning. They only said 40 years because they think it's going to take them 40 years to invent something that can go in there and start moving the radioactivity around. They do not have the tools to stop it. They are way in over their head. All they're doing is mitigating the damage. They're not moving. They're moving radioactivity from one place to another. In fact, let's be clear, that cleaning radioactive contamination is a complete lie. It's a euphemism. It's like we have no idea what we're doing. So they're moving the radioactivity. They're not cleaning it up. They move radioactivity. And then as they move it, they try to leave as light a trail as possible. So I don't know. I hope that we all plan for the worst and hope for the best and that we get the best. But with these troops going to Europe, with this coronavirus completely, and the fascists and the war profiteers on television straight up saying we'd rather die than let the economy fail. And with Trader Trump in office, that guy is not leaving. You are right. We got a little dictatorship going on. He thinks he's the dictator of the world. Wait till that one happens. What does it say? Yeah, we are the elders. Let's see. What are you saying? We are the elders. Remember in the days, the elders, we were the wise ones, and the children would listen to the elders. Now just who is tending to the nuclear power station? WHO? Yeah, them too. That's why that is actually a big concern, because you know what? The IRS is pretty much closed down. They issued these warnings that they're not going to be collecting on people. They've I can't get through. It's my profession. I can't get through on the phone. I can't even get through the taxpayer advocate's office nor the tax preparer's office. So they've closed down, and there's a lot of concern. The NRC actually had some comments on its website today about what they're going to do because I mean, they do. The people, obviously, the people wearing the safety masks. I don't know if their safety masks and all that stuff keeps out of coronavirus because it's thin, but it ought to, I should think. But I mean, could you imagine if we had an earthquake? Like right now, we have states that are in lockdown, but it's raining 24 hours a day. They're starting to get flooding. So what's going to happen if we have a natural event or an earthquake that causes damage, or an earthquake that causes damage to a nuclear power plant and it has to shut down, go into immediate shutdown, or we have a nuclear, like, can you imagine, like, we are so super beyond super screwed. Like, this is why people don't want to talk about it, because when you start talking about it, you kind of have to laugh because it's just like like it's just beyond comprehension. Anyways, you know what? I see I'm at 26 minutes and everybody says that is too long. So, I can talk. So, I'll talk to you guys later. Put your courage feet on, and I'm going to keep coming back here and giving my little wee bits of opinions because I don't know, it makes me feel better. Anyways, bye, Alex. Thanks for the conversation. It was really great. What'd you say last at last? What'd say? A virus is RNA molecules and passes right through, passes right through mass. It is orders of magnitude smaller than bacteria. Wow, I did not know that about that. So, like, I'm going to continue on here. So, like, if you just wear like a scarf over your face, that does nothing. Is that what you're saying? Because I was thinking that, like, all these people sewing up masks, like, if it's a good mask, don't you have to have a specific kind of material? I don't know. I guess that's something that I should research if I was going to. I mean, I could sew up a million masks. I sew pretty fast. But, anyways, this is just, it's, I don't know. Aren't you guys shocked? Aren't we all just completely, I mean, imagine if the nuclear contamination killed people as quickly as this virus did. Would we have nuclear power facilities all around the world? Probably not. Because it's killed probably magnitudes more. Like, even if we kill 1 million people, 2 million, 3 million people, imagine how many millions of people these nuclear power plants have caused in the last 80 years. Millions of deaths. How many millions of cancers do we get every year? So, anyways, I am going to go, you guys. Put your courage feet on. It's good to see you all. Thank you for being my subscribers. Thank you for joining my channel. For real, put your courage feet on, because it's time for us to just walk in love and just love each other and decide we're going to find our own happiness. Go walk on the grass, take your shoes off and go walk on the grass. That's what I say. Ciao. Bye.